Welcome back to the channel. It seems we have some more hot, explosive XRP ledger news, XRP based news. This article is titled Ripple Unveils New Accelerator to Boost XRP Ledger Innovation in DeFi and AI. They know already. They have a ton of companies that want to hold XRP. We've seen it in the articles. They've come out and spoken about it. Not Ripple, but the companies themselves. We know they have a bunch of companies building on the XRPL, including something that's similar to this. Remember, they said that Ripple invested in a bunch of different companies in Japan, a few of them which were working on AI, building AI on the XRP ledger. Remember that? That was only about 2 weeks ago. Have people forgotten already? So what this does is make something that was already going good even better. And if there was any companies on the outside questioning if they were going to get in or not, this could prompt them to get in 100%. It also could prompt the companies that are already building on the XRPL to work a little bit harder because they want to stay ahead of a lot of these big time companies that are going to be jumping in. Now think about it. You have companies that are talking about having an XRP treasury, just like they're doing with Solana and Bitcoin, etc. That's big money that they're talking about putting in. Was it one company was talking about like $500 million? Now, once again, I said this at the time. We'll see if they actually do what they're saying. There's a difference. There's a difference between saying something and actually doing it. Let me see you actually do that. But that's what they said. Now, just imagine how much more they would invest. Not that company, but any other but other companies. How much more value they may invest or pour into the actual technology. That company was simply talking about holding XRP. It's much more valuable to put to use the technology. No doubt about it. For these companies, they're going to be saving countless millions. That's going to scale into billions at one point for sure. Money to play with, reallocate. That's worth much more than holding XRP, in my humble opinion. Although holding XRP is fantastic as well. But I'm talking about when it comes to these companies. Why do I say that? Because their survival is on the line. No doubt about it. You see all these articles coming out about these big time billionaires and CEOs and COOs. All of a sudden, they want to talk about the problems with the financial system out of nowhere. Right. Be careful of that and be aware of that. Something is coming. What it is, I'll let you determine that. But the evidence is out there. I think the picture becomes very clear when you start seeing what's going on within the financial systems. There's a problem. If I were to boil it all down, the biggest problem is that I would say this. This is how I will put it. There was so much greed in the legacy financial system. Greed. There was so much of that they started to create fake things. And it goes way beyond fiat currency. There are so many fake structures. It cannot be sustained. It can't. It cannot be sustained. There's no way. And I think they know that. This is why they're all coming out and talking about it in their own ways, various different ways, but it all leads to the same truth. Get to the quintessence of what they're trying to say. There's a problem. But now let's read this little tidbit here because things are getting hot for the XRPL. The Bankcoin technology is one of the few things that could save them. That's why, as we've been talking about Swift as an example, you have Swift putting the pressure on the banks that deal with them. Oh, there's a deadline in September. Or was it August? It was either the end of August or the beginning of September. Why? What's the pressure for? The OCC was putting pressure on companies. Why? What's the pressure about? What's coming that's making them have to rush after all this time? You see, we're getting to that point where the legacy financial system has to make a decision. They either want to move forward, survive, maybe even thrive in the future. But it's going to come by way of these technologies, DLT, AI, and 100%. I'm sticking by what I said. Quantum computing will be involved. There's no way. They've solved so many problems, especially with quantum batteries. A lot of people don't know that. Banks have already begun testing quantum computing. So long gone is that era where people can say, well, they haven't even started using. Yes, they have. Yes, they have. The military's been testing it. We read articles about that. The The banks have been testing it, and then there was that one regular company. I can't remember who it was. They also claimed that they were testing out quantum computing. But that's it. If they don't get on board right now, and there's such a massive percentage of them that are not on board yet, which is a great thing for the Bitcoin companies. That means we are literally able to observe this massive wall of capital that can come into crypto and cause those prices to explode. So that's a good thing. I like to see it for myself. I don't know about you, but I do. But at the same time, if they don't get on board, you're going to see contagion. You're going to see problems happen within the legacy financial system on a scale that no one has witnessed before. And they fear it. They fear that. And another thing to observe, and then I'll read a little bit from this. Let me give you all this information, right? I'm giving you a lot. That's what you're here for. All right. I think about when I give information and I'm in the zone like this, I think of it like going to a store. I want those people to give me extra stuff on my sandwich as opposed to give me a lackluster sandwich. I want more. They give me more. I have respect. I say, thank you. That's a good quality store. I want to come back again. Let me give you extra. And hopefully you like this quality. You'll click that like button. You'll come back for more. That's how I look at it, right? I like to help people try to understand my thinking if I can. I don't know if I do or not. But they fear that change that's coming, that problem. This is why, one reason why they're sort of, look at what's going on with stable coins. Remember, I told you, stable coins mirror the same problem they're trying to escape from the legacy system. Fiat currency, false liquidity, bank run, susceptibility to bank runs. But there's this push. And why is there this push? Because it's their introduction into DLT. But stable coins are not what they really want. That's not what they're really after, folks. I mean, it's just my humble opinion. It's not financial advice. You could disagree. It's not what they're really after. Because if you think they have any intelligence whatsoever, okay? If there was anyone within those central bank teams that has a high IQ, then they will look at stable coins and see that flaw and say, wait a minute now, we might as well stick with the old system because these have the same negatives. Okay, well, what's the positive? The liquidity and interoperability of the native tokens that are behind the stable coins. What makes me say that? Even up to yesterday and today, look this up for yourself. I'm pretty sure I'm not eloquent right now, but I am filled with information. That's for sure. Look this up. From yesterday to today, articles have been released of interviews from the European Central Bank. Now, remember about a week, two ago, they were all filled with zeal about stablecoins. Now, all of a sudden, the BIS came out, was like, hey, listen, everyone. We know who they were talking to. Stable coins are not stable. Stable coins are a problem. There's a problem there. They made them look. Now the ECB has come out in the last 2 days and they're like, well, wait, stable coins, we're not going to consider it. I forgot the verbiage that they use. BIS said it's not sound money. The BIS said stable coins aren't stable. The ECB has now paraphrased that or reshaped it to have their own verbiage heaped upon it. But they're saying the same thing. But they're still going to use it. Folks, they know there's a problem. You have to ask yourself, if they're willing to walk into that problem, there must be something that they're going to use to negate that problem. It has to be the liquidity of the native tokens. Why did they involve XRP and XRPL? If you involve the XRPL, the backbone of it, as according to David Schwartz, is XRP. The best thing that it has is XRP, according to David Schwartz and Brad Garlinghouse, who has, I think, 2 tattoos now of XRP on his body. So if the ECB, that's the European Central Banking System, who came out themselves, they didn't have to say that. They didn't have to unveil that. But it's inevitable people were going to find out. If they came out and they're saying, hey, we're using this particular offering built on the XRPL, which XRP is the backbone. I want to make that clear. They know the positives. As the youth say, all of these companies that are getting involved with the XRPL have to run that XRP price up. That's what they call it when the price explodes. They have to make that price go up. It's the only thing that can 100% protect them. It doesn't matter if it's XRP or XDC or XLM. It doesn't make a difference. They have to make that price go up, and they don't need to tell anybody else when they're going to do it. They just have to know they're all in on it. And it seems to me that they are. Hence why all the regulations went through now. Okay. There's so much I want to say, and so you ever have a lot to say, but you lack the mental power at that particular time. You're just worn out from life. You lack the mental power to put together the proper wording. Now, what I have seen, folks, is that the debts. Remember, we used to follow closely on the channel for like a good year and a half. The global debt is unbelievable. The U.S. debt is unbelievable. All of these countries' debts are unbelievable. But it goes beyond that. The falseness of the liquidity that they have created, the falseness in the systems, it's catching up. It must collapse at some point. I believe they know that. That's why the rush is on. That's why they waited as long as they could. Now this year, there's a rush. So this is why Ripple can come out with an accelerator. We could look at that in a multitude of different ways. One, sure, they want to bring more business to the XRPL, more builders to the XRPL. But let's read this little tidbit here. It says Ripple's XRPL accelerator is unleashing a powerful new wave of tokenization and enterprise blockchain innovation, driving real world adoption and massive growth across the XRP ledger ecosystem. I'm scrolling down. Ripple announced on July 3rd, a strategic collaboration with global fintech incubator Tenity. It says, quote, to launch a new accelerator program designed to support entrepreneurs building on the XRPL. What do you think they're going to be building? What do you think it's going to serve? What is it going to do? People getting involved with the XRP ledger, they know what it's built for. Banks, money, value to be moved, payroll, they know what it is. So all of this building, if I'm correct in that, is going to go towards the new financial system and bolstering it, making it stronger, better, faster, more liquidity. Something's coming. This accelerator is to accelerate that. I know how that sounds, but there's like a thought I want to convey, and I'm hoping you're getting it. They need the acceleration of this now, of all of these things, not just this, but this is symbolic of the overall push. They've accelerated, coming up with clear regulations for crypto. Partnerships have accelerated. Treasuries have accelerated. Everything has exploded now. And I believe it's because of that problem. There is a massive imminent collapse. We've heard the ECB continuously talking about contagion. Why have they been talking about that? There's no bank runs going on right now. Why do they come out? Every once in a while they mention that, like every 2 months they mention, oh, there could be contagion if, we have to make sure the systems are okay. What is the major problem that you're concerned with? Because you're not elaborating on that aspect. That's suspicious. See, it's important to ask the why. What is the fear? And it's so frustrating to me because I feel like I know. They'll speak about protecting themselves from this monster, but never say what the monster is. There is a problem. If you read the banking documents that have been coming out from the U.S. banks, the U.S. financial system, just read a few of them. You're going to see it. The EC in Europe, you're going to see it. They're all saying the same thing. Look at what they've done in Japan. You're going to see it. Once again, that's why gold is exploding, folks. Did you watch the last members only video? I just put one out. I believe it was yesterday. I dropped 2 within the last week. Watch that last one. Folks, they know something major is coming. That thing that's coming is going to make both crypto prices explode, the utility coin and Bitcoin. That's the only ones I can speak for. Bank coins and Bitcoin. Those, I believe, not financial advice. Do what you want to do. This is just my humble opinion. I'm not here to make someone believe like I believe. That's not my way. In life, that's not my way. But that's my thoughts. And gold will explode unbelievably. And then once again, once you take all of that into account, then we begin to understand, oh, this is why they can predict a $4,500 gold, $4,000 gold. And they're so solid in that belief. When central banks have already run that price up, but they know it's not just, once again, watch that members only video. You can put it on I don't care how you do it. Put it on fast forward, whatever, but get the information. I'm telling you. Something is coming. This is not a game. This is serious business. But because I believe a lot of people are going to be caught off guard. Now, the other day, wait, I can't talk about that. Wait. You got to watch that members only video. Let's move on here. I have other articles, okay? I don't have to reference other ones that I have to keep for the members. Shout out to the members only section. They are the reason why this channel continues to be alive. So shout out to the members only section. I appreciate every single one of you. I really do. So now let's cover a little bit of Bitcoin news before the video gets too long. I did have another XRP article, but I may post that later. This article is titled Bitcoin Cup and Handle Breakout Gives $230,000 Target as Sol eyes 2,800% gain. I also believe Solana is very bullish. Bitcoin and Solana are in for an astronomical upside if they both complete a cup and handle breakout pattern. Monthly chart pattern analysis concludes. My apologies. I don't know why I read that so choppy. This is one of those days. It's just one of those days when you can't think clearly. Who actually remembers that song from the 90s? Just one of those days. Bitcoin and Solana can reach parabolic new highs if both crypto tokens successfully complete a cup and handle pattern, according to analysis. BTC price and Sol price targets $230,000 and $4,390 respectively. Sol/USD would need to deliver gains of nearly 3,000% to hit the breakout top level. It continues on here. It says Bitcoin has spent 7 weeks acting within a narrow range. Once again, I want to say this. Watch the catalyst. Watch the companies. Watch the nations. When they make announcements when it comes to Bitcoin, the most, it definitely can affect that price depending on how the companies. It's not about the people anymore. The companies react. Here's the thing about that. And let me be careful how I say this. Some companies, don't get me wrong, they have financial analyst teams, research teams, but sometimes it happens where they're, the people that are being informed are just perusing on their television or their phone, and they're getting all the top financial news in that way as well. And an announcement comes out, an article comes out, and they're ready to act on it. Oh, what? This country or this company, they want a Bitcoin treasury? How do we react to that? Immediately, they're messaging their research teams, their analysts, etc. And it's quite embarrassing for the research and analyst teams, but I get it. You can't catch everything. You can't know everything. But when you're getting paid money for that service, you're expected to be on top of everything that's hot, even though that's not possible. And those individuals, those entities want to act on that. It's about them now, the companies. So you hear anything about an increase in holdings of Bitcoin by countries or companies? Now it's time to start really watching the movement of the purchasing of Bitcoin, the selling of Bitcoin. It's going to come out. And then you just keep note of that. Okay, they bought this much here. Then the next 2 weeks or a month, they bought this much here. Now you're starting to see the pattern of a real catalyst. Living, breathing teams of people making a movement in current time, not based on the past, and that may not be so relevant because times have changed. Retail doesn't control the market anymore. Companies do. Watch what's real. Watch what's living. Watch what's moving now. Then, if it comes time and there's a major negative catalyst, which as of now I don't see, you know how to move. You know what to do. Major positive catalyst, you know what to do for yourself. I'm just saying, watch what's real and don't get distracted. That's how I look at it. That's how I approach it. Know what is a distraction and what is not. There's a difference between knowing the right information and then knowing all information. Knowing all information, there's a lot of information in there that's useless. There's no point in knowing useless information. Know the right information, and you'll always be able to make the right movements. That's how I look at that. So that's how I'm perceiving this articles like this. Well, it's like cup and handle. This happened in the past. This chart says this. What are the companies doing? What are the people that are controlling the movement of the price? What are they doing? What's their plans? What did they say recently? Tell me that. If I know how they're thinking and I know their intention, then I can, more times than not, know where this price is going to go. It continues, as Cointelegraph reported, Bitcoin/USD has already completed a long-term cup and handle from its 2021 peak to 2022 low and back up, followed by its first trip to the $100,000 mark. All right, we're going to end off with this last article here, if it'll load. Hope you're all having a fantastic day out there, doing well. Healthy mind, healthy body. I hope that for you. So now, this article is titled Arthur Hayes Warns of $90,000 Bitcoin Dip Ahead of 10x Rally to $1 million. Let me just read this before I give my thoughts. Bitcoin could retrace to $90,000 short term, but Arthur Hayes sees surging fiscal liquidity fueling an unstoppable rally toward $1 million long-term price target. I'm not concerned with anything that Bitcoin does now. I see it, whatever may happen, and I don't know the catalyst for it. This individual saying it may go down, but it could go down just from price manipulation. Price manipulation right now is out of this world for all assets. The chess game is being played right now. You could disagree. I could respect that, but I'm still going to stick with what I said. I feel that heavily. There's a lot of shaking out going on, a lot of manipulation going on, a lot of bringing down of prices temporarily to buy more. As they know, what did the article say like 3 days ago? Long-term holders are selling their Bitcoin. And then companies are buying. So a lot of companies are like, well, let's go ahead and help them release this Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and help them sell, make that price go down. And then a lot of people get afraid because they're losing value. Oh, Bitcoin's price is going down. What if it never goes up again? They start playing that mental game with themselves. They start breaking themselves down. They don't even need an enemy. They're their own worst enemy. Their minds start breaking down, and then they sell and the companies buy. And they know that. They have that ability to do that. They're not concerned too much with the prices right now. It's about domination. It's about positioning before they give their mainstream media the signal and say, hey, go ahead, make that push. And they will pump that price. If retail could pump prices, and this was long ago, of course, but once they did have that ability, back when retail was in control, if they could pump these prices, what do you think companies can do? Come on. All right. So it says macro investor Arthur Hayes, co-founder of cryptocurrency exchange BitMEX, and who now leads investment fund Maelstrom, stated on July 2nd that Bitcoin's short-term outlook could be shaped by U.S. Treasury's plan to refill its checking account, the Treasury General Account, TGA, which may temporarily drain liquidity from the financial system. I'm giving you that look. To restore, temporarily drain liquidity. Sometimes, many times, a temporary activity can result in a permanent result. Many times in life. Watch that activity. It says to restore the TGA balance to target levels after debt ceiling increase, the Treasury will need to issue new bonds, an action that pulls cash out of the market and can weigh on asset prices in the short run. We shall see. If the TGA refill proves to be dollar liquidity negative, then the downside is $90,000 to $95,000. Once again, I wouldn't be concerned whatsoever. Nothing. It's just another day. Just another day in crypto. Nothing. That's nothing. It says if the refill proves to be a nothing burger, Bitcoin will chop in the 100,000s without the decisive break above $112,000 all-time high. All right, we shall see. We will observe. So Now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.